Namaste, welcome to Shuddha Vidya, a sacred space for mentoring, Jyotish and meditation. This video will be dedicated to expounding the profound meaning of the Moola Mantra, the principal mantra of Bhagavan Shri Dakshinamurti. So, the Moola Mantra of Bhagavan Shri Dakshinamurti goes like this. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medhām Prajñām Prayaccha Swāhā. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medhām Prajñām Prayaccha Swāhā. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medhām Prajñām Prayaccha Swāhā. So it starts with Om, which we commonly know as the most sacred syllable sound of Sanatana Dharma. All Vedic mantras begin with Om. Om basically represents the first moment when the unmanifest divine, before he becomes manifest as form, the divine first becomes manifest as the word, as the sound. So it is a manifestation of the divine will, the divine intention to bring something into being. So Om is like the interface between the unmanifest, unknowable divine and the manifest creation, the manifest expressions of the divine, which is why it is so sacred. It represents that first moment. Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye. So I would like to first dwell on the word Bhagavate, which is the dative or the fourth case declension of the Sanskrit noun Bhagavan. Now Bhagavan is loosely translated as God or Lord, but there is a lot more richness and profundity to it in the Vedic understanding. So in Sanatana Dharma, someone is deemed Bhagavan if they are replete or if they possess 6 very auspicious divine attributes. These divine attributes are called bhagas. So there are 6 bhagas which, if fully manifest in someone, if they are fully flowing through someone, then such a person is, very honorifically addressed as Bhagavan. So the 6 bhagas are Aishwarya, which is loosely translated as prosperity, but the deeper meaning is actually sovereignty and the capacity to manifest, to translate your intentions into reality. Now, without understanding this depth, this is why people loosely translate it as wealth, because on the physical plane, material resources, material wealth gives you the ability to translate your thoughts into physical actions. Many people may have wonderful ideas, but because they don't have wealth, because they don't have the necessary investment, those ideas, just remain ideas. They don't really become reality. So Aishwarya is a derivative of the word Ishvara. So Ishvara, the divine intelligence, has the capacity to manifest, and Aishwarya basically represents that, the divine property of manifestation. I'm not talking of manifestation in the same superficial sense like many manifestation theorists talk, like, go on visualizing something. I'm not talking at that level. I'm talking at a very different level. And I'll probably make a separate video to dwell more deeply upon this. But for now, just understand that Aishwarya is not just material resources. It is divine quality, the divine quality of manifestation, of sovereignty. Meaning you don't have to, crave for something or chase something or run after something. You will it into existence like the divine. So Aishwarya is the first bhaga. The second bhaga is Virya, strength or power. This does not only mean physical might, although that is also a property you see in certain avatars like Bhagavan Rama or Bhagavan Krishna. In their efforts to protect dharma, to vanquish adharma, and to vanquish evil, they have had to sometimes resort to war, and they have had to vanquish evil by force. So there is that great power. in the physical sense also. But there is also the great power in them to bless others. Their very presence is very powerful. You feel very drawn. The vibes around them are very intense. So avatars, people whom we address as Bhagavan, these days probably everyone chooses to call their gurus or whoever they respect as Bhagavan. But in the traditional Vedic sense, the term Bhagavan is, given to someone. Someone is addressed by that term when these bhagas are seen in full manifestation in them. So the second bhaga is virya, strength or power, great spiritual power. It probably even represents their fully awakened kundalini. So the kundalini energy is gushing through them, and therefore in their presence you feel that profound transformative power. According to me, more than physical might, the transformative power you feel in their presence is the greater symbol of virya, because physical might you could even train through working out in a gym, but that profound vibration to impact others spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, that comes through deeper spiritual sadhana. So the second bhaga is virya. The third bhaga is yashas, glory. So we see all these avatar purushas, we see these people who are fit to be called Bhagavan. They have this glory that far outlives the lifetime of their bodies. So Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi, Bhagavan Rama, Bhagavan Krishna, Bhagavan Buddha, these Bhagavan Mahavira, so all these sacred beings, their glory has far outlived their physical lifetime. So this is the third bhaga. There's something about their life. They've lived their lives in such a worthy and wonderful manner that their glory continues for a very long time. The fourth bhaga is Shri, abundance or fullness. Now this first of all represents to abundance of the heart, fullness of the heart. This is why goddess Lakshmi, who is also called Shri, in Vedic sacred iconography, the position of Lakshmi is shown as the heart space of Vishnu. She sits in his heart, meaning the first emergence of Shri or abundance is always in the heart. Before she becomes manifest as external abundance, resourcefulness, she first emerges as inner abundance, to not have an impoverished thinking, to not live with a sense of lack or craving or greed or jealousy. People who compare, oh, I don't have this, you have this, how I wish I had the life that you have, all this is absent. So in the case of certain avatars like Bhagavan Rama or Bhagavan Krishna, you can see there is abundance of inner being as well as abundance of external being. They were also, of royal descent. They lived lives of plenitude even on the outside. But in the cases of avatars like Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi or Bhagavan Nisargadatta Maharaj or Bhagavati Anandamayi Ma, we use the term Bhagavati for, the feminine manifestation, or Bhagavan Buddha, they may have not necessarily shown external abundance. That was the divine design flowing through them, but there was certainly that inner abundance. They were like kings in their own places, which is why they are even addressed with the title Maharaj, because they are sitting on the Simhasana of Atma Jnana. They are fully in that unshakable Simhasana, and therefore they are fully abundant. Externally, the body could be appearing to be living in, a very minimalistically, in a sort of a poor setting in a monastery, but they are every bit abundant and full. So Shri is very much present even in these avatars. We should not only look at their external wealth and decide that. So that is the fourth bhaga, Shri, abundance or fullness. The fifth bhaga is Jnāna. Jnana is not bookish knowledge, it is not regurgitated understanding, it is not intellectual understanding, it is insight, the profound seeing of something. In many cases, the jnana in these avatars, remains like a silent background, a constant illumination, which is why you feel illuminated in their presence. Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi remained silent for most of his life. But when people sat in his presence, they felt peace, they felt like every corner of their mind becoming illuminated, they could see all their inner activities very clearly. Bhagavan Krishna lived like that. He was called Yogeshwara. He was the Lord of Yoga. But when the time came on the battlefield, that profound illumination also flowed as words. So jnana sometimes, transforms into external articulation, but otherwise it remains as a silent, profound seeing, silent insight into the nature of truth. And the sixth bhaga is vairagya. According to me, this is the most important bhaga to qualify someone as Bhagavan. So vairagya does not necessarily mean material dispassion. It does not mean living in poverty. No, it means a non-grasping state of mind. The mind is not chasing anything. There is nothing they want. They are full, they are abundant, and therefore there is no projection of the future happening. See, the normal human beings, the mind is constantly projecting a beautiful future, and it is chasing that. It is trying to move closer to that future reality. But, for someone we call Bhagavan, that is not there. The mind is totally silent. It is eternally in the present. This is why I said in the beginning, when I speak of manifestation, I'm not talking of the same science of manifestation, chasing a visualization. No. There is a strange power there is when you become fully present and you're not chasing anything. And manifestation happens in the present, not by chasing a future. So that is vairagya, which is why Bhagavan Shiva is shown in deep meditation, or he is sometimes shown sitting in the cremation ground in Smashana. Not that it is inauspicious, it is just that the Smashana represents the inner space where all of the mind's beautiful fascinations, all the beautiful castles it builds, all the beautiful nama rupas it indulges in, they have all been burnt down. And one is in a state of total aloneness, not loneliness, aloneness, which is very sacred. That is vairagya. They are not in the company of even their own desires. They are so alone because they are so full. It's a very beautiful expression. So that is vairagya. So these six bhagas, in whoever these six bhagas are in full manifestation, we call them Bhagavan. Someone who is replete, complete, and embodying these six divine attributes is Bhagavan. And the fourth dative declension of Bhagavan is Bhagavate. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye. Namaha means I offer my salutations to, I bow to, and Namaha is always accompanied by the dative declension of the noun. So Namah Shivaya, Namah Narayanaya. So in this case, Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye. Both Bhagavate and Dakshinamurtaye are in the fourth dative declension. I would like to offer one small correction about the word Dakshinamurti. I see on the internet that some people wrongly pronounce this as Dakshinamurti because their understanding is he is a form that is of Bhagavan Shiva, that is, who is sitting facing south. It is Dakshina Amūrti. That is the exact sandhi, the splitting of the word. Dakshina Amūrtihi, the south facing Amūrti, not Murti, Amūrti. Amūrti means one who is not limited to Nama Rupa, to form and name. One who does not have a defined specific locus of existence. Murti is that which has a locus of existence. Whereas Amūrti means one who is an all-pervading presence. He is not fixed in one place. This is why Dakshinamurti is in me, is in you, is everywhere. Or I think the better way to say it is, we are all in him. He alone exists. He is the substratum. So he is the Amūrti. He is the all-pervading presence. And our limited Nama Rupas arise within him. He is like the ocean. We arise within him like waves. And our waves subside when our lifetime ends. But this Amūrti, this Dakshina Amūrti, this eternal, silent, illuminating presence is ever there. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medhām Prajñām Prayaccha Swāhā. Let me now first dwell on Medha and Prajñā. Both words, Medha and Prajñā, are loosely translated as intelligence. Medha is often translated as intelligence, but that is actually wrong. That wrong translation comes because in the material world, in common parlance, we associate intelligence with articulateness, how well someone speaks, how wide a range of subjects someone is able to discuss, how many things someone knows. We associate all this with intelligence. But this is not actually intelligence. If I must use a more precise word for this property, it is integrative clarity, or the capacity to synthesize. This is certainly a very welcome trait. It is an important trait for mundane success, for worldly learning. You must be able to bring together many streams of information. So synthesis is certainly a great thing. Integrative clarity is certainly a great property. Medha represents that. It is the capacity to basically connect the dots, to basically arrange the jigsaw puzzle. So knowledge comes to you in bits and pieces through different sources, but certain people have that bright capacity to put together all these pieces and create a beautiful collage, to create a beautiful synthesis, a beautiful image. That is Medha. And therefore, they tend to be articulate. Their choice of words, their expressions and everything tend to be very lucid, very pristine. So that is Medha. There is an unobstructed flow, an unobstructed expression possible through them because they are very clear. They are connecting the dots very, very clearly. That is Medha. So it is not even just limited to intellect, but it is not that profound thing of intelligence. It is something in between. It is the ability, the processing ability. So think of it like a computer with high processing speed. That is Medha. Now Prajñā. Prajñā is actually intelligence. Prajñā. Ñā, it means knowing. Prajñā means that which facilitates knowing. So it is not actually talking of knowing. It is talking of that property which sort of precedes knowing, which facilitates knowing. Now what is that? That is silent illumination. It is like the lights turning on, before you read a book. If you sat in darkness to read a book, you won't read anything. So Medha is to read the pages, to basically connect the sentences, to understand the semantics, to understand the grammar, and to make sense of information. That is Medha. But for this Medha to happen, there needs to be illumination. There needs to be first seeing. That is Prajñā. Now, prajna does not engage in the same articulation. It is not concerned with words. It is not concerned with expression. It is silent. It is just like the lights turning on. But you probably understand that this is the fundamental quality. Without this, medha cannot arise. So prajna is intelligence. It is that spark, that illumination. Now prajna can exist independent of medha also. So when a jivan mukta, when someone like a Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi is in Swatma Rama, they are in effortless abidance in the true self, there is only prajna, there is that pure illumination, that pure seeing. They are constantly seeing that I am that eternal, unbroken, divine self that is not bound by death, by birth, by time, by space. There is that constant seeing of it. In fact, there may not even be these words. These words are the later emergence. That is medha already. There is just that seeing of existence, of pure existence, unbound by anything. That is prajna. Now, sometimes that prajna may choose to express itself as a teaching to help a sadhaka, in which case medha arises like a very faithful translator, like a very faithful scribe. So prajna is like the king who is seeing something, but medha is like the minister who comes in and says, what would His Highness like to talk? And he takes down notes. Medha always has to only arise from prajna. It has to be a faithful servant of prajna. Then that medha is very profound. So think of it more like the relationship between the magnet and the iron filings. Under the influence of the magnetic field, the iron filings will arrange themselves in certain very coherent patterns, symmetric patterns. So that is how medha functions under the influence of prajna. So that is the difference between medha and prajna. And this mantra is basically a prayer for both. First of all, the silent illumination, which is the principal quality of Bhagavan Dakshinamurti. And then at times, when that inner Dakshinamurti in us has to talk, when he has to flow through me like a teaching like this, may he also flow as medha, as articulateness, as expression, as unobstructed expression. So both. Mahyam medham prajñam prayaccha. So I have explained medha and prajna. Now mahyam prayaccha, yacha, loosely translated as give, although that is not the exact deeper meaning. It is derived from the Sanskrit root yam. But there are two expressions used in Sanskrit to imply receiving. Dehi, from the root da, which is more common. You might have heard, traditionally Indian sannyasis, monks, when they come asking for alms at the doorstep, they say bhiksham dehi. Please give me alms. Please give me food. Now, yacha has a slightly different meaning. Now, the word dehi is often limited to material possessions. The word dehi is used in contexts where there is a clear duality between giver and receiver. And the giver is giving a material object, and the giver is not, you can say, fully involved in the life of the receiver. Once they part with that object, that their relationship probably ends. The sannyasi may never come to your doorstep again. You've just given them food, you've given them clothes, and they go away. You may not see them again. So dehi is used in those contexts. Whereas yacha has a slightly more nuanced understanding, although loosely it also means give. Yacha is where there is not this duality and you are not actually asking for a material object. It does not imply transfer of possession from one person to another. Rather, it implies facilitation of a certain property in you in the presence of someone. So, for example, in the relationship between a teacher and student, although we loosely say transfer of wisdom, it is not actually transfer of wisdom. The teacher is not holding wisdom like an object and say, here, take it. The teacher is facilitating understanding. In such context, yacha is actually more appropriate. So, Mahyam Prayaccha is basically telling Bhagavan Dakshinamurti, facilitate in me the arising of Medhā and Prajñā. So, a good visual analogy would be, let's go back to the example of the magnetic field and the iron filings. Now, the iron filings arrange themselves in concentric circles and patterns when under the influence of the field. It is not like the magnet is transferring a blueprint of a design and saying, here, arrange yourself in this pattern. No. There is some kind of a transmission happening, but it is not the transfer of an object. And the relationship between the magnet and the iron filings is not like the giver-receiver relationship where once the magnet has transferred the pattern, the magnet says, okay, thank you, now be happy, and goes away. No. There is a constant influence. There is a constant facilitation. The magnetic field has become imbued. Now, that is the relationship we have with Dakshinamurti. He is not a one-time guru who will just give us something and go away. His illumination is constant. He's constantly shining upon us. He's constantly facilitating. When we tune into him, he himself arises as Medhā and Prajñā. He is not giving us Medhā and Prajñā as objects, but he himself transforms into that articulation, into that silent insight, that illumination. So I hope you're getting the subtlety. This is a very, very beautiful, nuanced expression. Mahyam Medhām Prajñām Prayaccha. Why not Medhām Prajñām Dehi? Because the ancient rishis who coined this mantra probably had that very profound understanding that Medhā and Prajñā are not objects to receive. Nor are we a one-time receiver and with that our relationship is over. We can just walk away like we've received clothes or food. No. We are constantly under the influence of that sacred field. And when we are under the influence of that sacred field, Medhā and Prajñā flowers within us, blossoms within us. So, Mahyam Medhām Prajñām Prayaccha Swāhā. Now, those of you who are familiar with Vedic fire rituals, havans, yajnas, you know the word Swāhā is chanted every time an offering is made. And what it actually subtly means is, I offer myself. So the word Swāhā is related to the word Swa, self. I offer myself. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medhām Prajñām Prayaccha Swāhā. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medhām Prajñām Prayaccha Swāhā. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medhām Prajñām Prayaccha Swāhā. So, when you chant this mantra, please dwell upon the meaning. Let it not just be a mechanical movement of the tongue and the prayer beads, the japamala. Let it be an immersion. The main purpose of mantra japa is that mantras are, you can say, highly condensed expressions within which a whole teaching, a whole philosophy is packed. The Gayatri mantra There is a whole philosophy packed into it. If you unravel it, it is very, very deep. It can go for 3 or 4 hours of exposition. That is how every mantra is. So kindly hold the meaning and meditate. The reason the practice of mantra repetition is done in the Hindu tradition and in the Buddhist tradition is, having once received a sutra, a teaching. The sutra is very broad. It may have taken many hours to expound it, or it may extend over many pages of a book. But the mantra is like one succinct expression which sort of condenses it all. And so when you hold that mantra, you hold all that understanding in your mind. So all that series that you have listened thus far, the significance of Bhagavan Dakshinamurti's form, the understanding of Mauna Vyakhyana, his silent exposition, the understanding of Chin Mudra, all of this is packed into this mantra. And now this added very beautiful element of Medhā and Prajñā. So bear it all in mind as you chant this mantra. Now maybe some of you have this traditional outlook. You might wonder if you are fit to chant this mantra without Upadesha or the formal initiation. I don't say this out of self-aggrandizement, but I am authorized to transfer this mantra, because I have lost count of how many times I have chanted this over the last 30 years. I've very deeply meditated upon this form of Bhagavan Dakshinamurti, and I've completed the necessary rituals that make the mantra come alive in me and enable me to pass it on to others. So I find this a very, very blessed occasion that on Mahashivaratri, which is one of the most auspicious festivals of the year dedicated to Bhagavan Shiva, that I have the sacred opportunity of passing on this beautiful mantra. What greater blessing can it be than meditating on Bhagavan Shiva himself as our teacher, welcoming him as the primordial teacher in our life on Mahashivaratri. So please accept this Upadesha. Upadesha has two components to it. One is the energetic component. You prepare your subtle bodies and your mind and everything through a certain number of repetitions and certain rituals. Like I said, I have been through that. The other more important component is to dwell upon the deep meaning, the hidden esoteric meaning of all the spiritual tattvas packed into that mantra, so that the devata, the mantra, the deity, the mantra come alive in your consciousness. I believe I have done justice to that part as well. Following this video, I am also creating a video of chanting the Dakshinamurti mantra 108 times. So you're welcome to chant along with me. So let us all meditate on Bhagavan Shiva. Let us welcome him as our Guru. Let us welcome his silent illumination into our lives. And I wish you all the very best. If this video has brought value to you, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video, and also follow me on Instagram. Shuddha Vidya is the name of my Instagram handle, and I look forward to more interactions with everyone and continuing to support your spiritual evolution. Thank you. Namaste.